All right, my friends, we are live. Welcome to the Remodelers on the Rise show. I am your host. Is it pompous to say host with the most? Probably not pompous, just kind of corny. This is your host with the most, Kyle Hunt. For those of you watching video-wise, I've got myself a new hat. Just a shout-out to remodeler extraordinaire and all-around friend and gentleman, Phil Bennett, down in beautiful Charleston, who took me under his wing, provided me a ticket, and we went to the PGA Championship on the Friday, which was wonderful. I'm a big golf fan. I follow the PGA Tour quite closely, so it was fun to see the big boppers up close and personal. It was high 70s, nice and breezy on the ocean course on Kiowa Island. And for those of you wondering how the tournament ended, old Phil Mickelson becoming the oldest major champion. So that's my new swag and hat there. Today, thanks, Kyle. Can you move on to talking about something that actually helps us in our business? We're not here just to hear about your travels, although it was kind of exciting to be on a plane for the first time in a long time. Okay, but we'll move on to bigger and better things. The point of the Remodelers on the Rise show is to help you in your remodeling business. Sometimes that is reminding you of things you already know. Sometimes that is offering you some encouragement or a little kick in the butt or a little word of advice or frankly answering your questions. And also just letting me do some coaching and some guiding and some directing. And what we're going to do on today's show is something I call Around the Horn. I think I may have stolen that from that ESPN show back in the day. They kind of went person by person, but I call it kind of around the horn. There's a bunch of different areas of your remodeling business. You have marketing, you have your sales process, you have your estimating and design portion of your business, the production side, overall processes and systems. You have your cash flow and financials. You have your team and your human resources. Outside the business, you have your overall work-life balance and health. When you think about the different areas of your remodeling business, what I just kind of went through really encompasses the majority of the areas of your remodeling business. And I'm in the mood lately. I don't know if it's because we're approaching June. It's kind of feeling like a bit of a midpoint in the year. I'm also sensing this with my clients that it is a good time of the year to kind of step back and evaluate where things are at and how things are going. I also, just from having a pulse on a lot of people's businesses, everybody is very busy right now. And some are overwhelmed, feeling spread thin. And when we feel like that, it's important to kind of step back, evaluate how the year's going, remind ourselves of maybe some of the goals and aspirations that we had at the start of the year, and being honest with ourselves on how we're doing as we approach concluding month 5. And what is helpful in what I'm going to go through today is we're going to go around the horn into each of those different categories. And my goal is any remodeler listening to this will pick up a couple things. They probably won't choose 10 things to work on. Focusing on more attention on fewer things is often how we make better progress. Let me say that again for those of you in the back. Oftentimes, focusing more and putting more time into fewer things is how we end up making more progress. I know our entrepreneurial, fast-moving brain, some of us who like to just juke and jive from one thing to the next, we think that if we just are attacking 7 different things that we're going to make good progress. But I am finding in my coaching, in my years of business, watching others, that more focus on fewer things will move the needle more than if we're scattered. So the goal with this is to kind of go around the horn to these different areas, give you some thought starters, give you some things to be thinking about. And then hopefully there's 1, maybe 2 things that you say, out of all those different ideas I just heard, it was good to kind of go around the horn. It was good to think about each of those categories. But this is the one thing that I've got to put focus on. This is the thing that I need to put some energy and time into. And if you guys can identify 1, maybe 2 of those things, this will be time well spent. All right, so with that said, let's get into the first category as we go around the horn. First one is marketing. And I have some some thoughts and then some thought starters. Right now, marketing is not on the top of the list for the majority of remodelers. Why? The reason being is because leads continue to be pretty stinking prevalent. One thing we have to be careful of when leads are flush, when we have lots of opportunities in front of us, is not to get complacent and also not to think, you know what, it's always going to be like this. I don't need to be planting some seeds. I don't need to be nurturing some seeds right now. I just need to, it's going to just continue to harvest. We're going to keep seeing these leads over and over and over, and it's going to go on forever. We know that's not the case. We've seen ups and downs. So right now, when things are going really well on the lead generation front, it is a time to still make sure that we're doing some marketing. It is a great time to invest in search engine optimization to get your website ranking better. It's a great time to try out some different forms and methods of marketing that you've contemplated. Marketing when you don't need to generate leads is a great time to market. I know that sounds weird, but it's a good time to test and to measure and to see what's working and not working. Marketing when you have a good amount of leads might also enable you to take on more of your ideal work. Maybe you're looking at things and going, earlier in the year, I thought about doing more focus on kitchens and turning down more work outside of that, because when I look at my job costing, those jobs are more profitable, and those jobs, we just do them at a very high level and great productivity and efficiency. Well, the more leads you generate, the more picky you can be with what work you might take on. So on the marketing front, if you're thinking this might be an area that you need to put some effort on, a couple things that I want to remind us of. Are you tracking where your leads are coming from? Are you tracking where your leads are coming from? Make sure that you have some type of tracking. It can be simple. It can be in Builder Trainer Co-Construct under the How They Found Us. It can be in your CRM system. It can be on a spreadsheet. But make sure that you're tracking where your leads are coming from. At the halfway through the year, and certainly at the end of the year, we need to go back and say, okay, we generated 142 leads this year. Here's how many came from previous clients. Here's how many came from referrals from previous clients. Here's how many came from strategic partners that referred us. Here's how many that came through the website or social media or the radio ads that we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure that you're tracking that. And if you're able to, if it's not too much more, make sure you're also looking at what your closing percentage is by lead source. Again, one other layer, if it's not too much work, is to also see the average job size over the course of the year based on the lead source. Okay, so make sure you're tracking your leads. If you here through this 5th month of the year, if you're not able to tell me how many leads you generated and where they came from, that might be an item in that marketing bucket that you need to work on. And I'll pause there and remind you as we go around the horn, if one of these are something that you need to work on, create a specific action step and make it SMART. And make it SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. A SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So Kyle to set up lead tracking system and have it caught up for the year by June 15th, 2021. That would be a SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable. I can know if it's done or not. Is it attainable and realistic? I've got 3 weeks. I think that's reasonable. And is it time bound? It does have a deadline, June 15th. Okay, so make sure as you look at these, you're doing SMART goals. By the way, we don't utilize SMART goals enough. There are very skilled, wonderful coaches, consultants in our industry and in all kinds of industries that coach and then help businesses improve. And wouldn't you know it, that a huge tool they use is pretty practical. SMART goals, SMART goals. We need more SMART goals in our business, and we need to hold ourselves accountable and our team accountable to get them done. We need to take them seriously, and you make tremendous progress when you take a vague, non-specific, non-time-bound goal and you make it SMART. Way more progress happens. KPIs for leads is the first thing we started in 2021. Excellent, Jim. Rocking. All right. So a few other things on the marketing front. Do you need more leads? Do you have a clear marketing plan? Are you staying in touch with your previous clients? I talk about it every so often. If you're not staying in touch with your previous clients at all, Remodelers Autopilot is a program that I have that enables you to do that effectively and inexpensively. But think about the marketing side of things. Do you have enough leads? Do you have a clear marketing plan developed? Is there something that you've been thinking about doing marketing wise that maybe it's time to execute that? Maybe you wanted to get some professional videos created and it's time to set some SMART goals around that and give yourself some next steps to do that. Maybe you have a website redesign that was on the list for 2021. Is now the time to get that started. What is the very next step, the next right thing for you to do related to that? All right. So again, we're going around the horn. That's the marketing section. Maybe there's something in there for you to work on. Ooh, there were some other marketing thought starters. What are additional things you want to be doing to market your business? Are you going to increase or decrease your marketing budget this year? Take a look at those. Next one up as we go around the horn is the sales process. The sales process. Here's a few thought starters related to that. Are you charging for your design and project development? That one's a biggie. If that is something you've been thinking about doing, that you're contemplating doing, I have a wonderful course that digs into that topic. You need only reach out to me and I can give you the details on that. But people that have started to charge for their design and project development, I think I'm probably, at this point, how many remodelers have I walked through this process? I'll say 80 remodelers who I've worked very closely with over the years to go from not charging for design and development to charging for design and development. Let me tell you how many of those 80 have now regressed back to not doing that. Zippo, zero, none. When you embrace that, when your confidence builds in that, when you get clear with the value proposition and your process and how you charge for it and why you charge for it and the value to the client and how it makes the project go so much smoother and the experience goes so much smoother, when you are convinced yourself and you realize that by charging for design and project development, you protect your time, it keeps the project on time and on schedule and gives a better experience for your client. Once you get your head there and you start doing it and you have a little success with it, you ain't going back, because you realize this solves so many of the issues and the time wasting and the hassle and the challenges that I've been dealing with. It solves so many of those. So that might be something that is going to be a SMART goal for you or in your radar. Another question, are you handling the initial phone call well? Are you qualifying your prospects? If there's ever a time to be asking probing questions, good questions, to start to qualify folks, to improve your skill at that and how you do that effectively, to consider changing that initial phone call to a Zoom call, to consider putting a how much page on your website so that people see that and they've already got some numbers in mind, to make sure that your contact form on your website has a question that says, what is your budget? Maybe even links to the how much page or a cost versus value report, which, by the way, the 2021 cost versus value report is out now. Or a contact form that has room for them to click and upload some photos of their kitchen or upload some photos of their bathroom so that you're seeing that before you even call them, right? All of those things can help you handle that initial conversation in a more detailed and a stronger way, and help you, frankly, yes, qualify your prospects, help educate them on your process, etc. So when it comes to the sales process, that's an area that is really important for us to be working on. And if that's a weakness for you, maybe that's an area that you create a SMART goal around. A couple other thoughts on the sales process part of Around the Horn. Do you have a clear, this is how we work process? Do you have it written out? I would say remodelers are getting a little bit better at this, but you'd be surprised at the majority of remodelers still have not just written out step by step what their process is. And in particular, this would be a document that a prospect would see. Step one is the initial phone call. Step two is an initial in-person meeting where we talk about the budget range and how our process works. Step three, we move into design and project development. Here's how we do that. Just the basics of step by step so they can see what to expect. If you don't have that written out, that would be a tremendous thing for you to work on. Back in November, I did a 4-session course on that is also available. And then what do you want to improve about your sales process? Maybe it's something I just mentioned, or maybe it's something different than that. But as we go around the horn, as we think about the sales process, is there one thing on the sales process side that you're going to focus in on? I'll pause here. because I've gone through. I see a couple likes. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Any comments? We've gone through 2 of the areas of around the horn, and we're going to move on to the 3rd. And I'll keep an eye out to see if anybody has any questions as we navigate this live show. The next one up is the category of estimating and design. Estimating and design. A couple of thought starters related to that. How is your cycle time / turnaround time? You've heard the phrase, time kills deals. That is a very true thing. And your cycle time can be measured in a variety of ways, but it could be from the initial phone call to the time the design agreement signed. Could be the amount of time between the signed design agreement and the signed contract. Could be the measure between signing the design agreement and presenting them with their first design concepts. Paying attention to your cycle time and measuring it, because we know what gets measured gets improved. And paying attention to what our cycle time is, what our turnaround time is incredibly important. So that may be something you want to improve in this category of estimating and design. One of the best pieces of advice that I have in that area is 1, yes, measure it. But number 2, if you have 10 projects that are in some form of design and project development, all 10 of them should have a meeting scheduled or a phone call, a Zoom call. They should all have a very clear, specific day and time that you're next meeting with that client. When you finish a meeting with a client, book your next appointment before you get off the phone. Please remove from your vocabulary and in your conversation, I will get back to you later this week. I will get back to you early next week. I'll get back to you by next Wednesday or so. We need to get rid of that language and set up an actual day and time when we're going to next meet with them, talk with them, interact with them. You and I both know, I know personally, that when I say later this week or early next week, I blow past that more times than not. When I say, hey, chances are I'm going to blow past this. Let's actually book a meeting for Monday. Does 4 o'clock work? Awesome. And I'll have it done by then. I'm going to have it done by Monday at 4 o'clock because it's embarrassing for me to say, oh, sorry, I didn't get that done. Can we reschedule? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find a way to get it done. So make sure that helps tremendously on your cycle time. Is your estimating accurate? Are you wanting to change the program or software you use for design or estimating? Just some thought starters around this estimating and design section of things. You know, one of the best ways, I'll share one other thought before we move to the next part of Around the Horn. One of the best ways to improve the accuracy of your estimating is to start taking job costing seriously. I don't know if I've done a Remodelers on the Rise show in the last 4 months where the words job costing haven't come up. Why in the world would yours truly, a coach for remodelers, spends his day in and day out working with remodeler after remodeler after remodeler? Why am I, who's been doing this for 13 plus years, why am I constantly talking about job costing? It's like it's important or something. It's like I am incredibly passionate to say, if you're not doing it, you have to figure out how to start doing it, even if it's in a simple form. Why is it that I push that so hard? If you follow my work, you should ask that question. Why is it that he keeps badgering me about job costing? That's a good question to ask yourself. Because this isn't some random dude that came up with a random idea. This is somebody that's working with remodeler after remodeler for years and years and years and years. And I'm saying, please, 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 please get your job costing in order. There's a reason I'm saying it. I'll let you fill in the blanks. Ooh, that was kind of good. All right. Is your estimating accurate? The best way to get your estimating accurate is start watching your job costing closely. The next section, as we go around the horn, we've been through marketing. We've been through the sales process. We've gotten into estimating design. Now we're getting into production. Some production thought starters. How are you doing with your pre-construction conferences? Are you making sure that internally you're having a really solid pre-construction meeting and a really solid handoff between sales and production, between the salesperson or the estimator and the lead carpenter or the project manager or the production manager, whatever title he or she has? Are we making sure that's happening? Are we making sure that we're taking the time a week or two before that project starts, certainly days before the project starts, for the homeowner to meet the lead person on the project, for you to walk the job site together to talk about how we're going to approach things and the details of the project? How are we doing with that? That is a very hard thing to make time for. You guys are all very busy. We've got projects that we're actively working on, and boy, I've got to be organized enough to realize this project's going to start in 10 days, and we've got to schedule a time to get out there and review this project together. We've got to schedule a time in the office to review this scope of work and the design and the details together. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to carve out time for. I'll just say this. One, I'll say two things. One, it's extremely important. I don't even need to tell you that. You already know that. But number two, think of it this way. Every hour that you spend doing pre-construction conferences, doing pre-construction meetings, it is going to save you no less than 5 hours during the process. You are making money. You are making more gross profit dollars by investing the time in having those meetings. If somebody wants to, this would make a wonderful Remodelers on the Rise show. If somebody wanted to debate that topic. Kyle, I don't agree with you. I don't think you save time. I think it's a waste of time. I think we can do it the day of. I think I can just email and have people review it and be perfectly fine. I'd love to debate somebody about that, but I guarantee nobody's going to debate it because it's true. Maybe the 5 hours might be a little exaggeration, but it ain't much more of an exaggeration. I've thrown that out and said, Kyle, it's way more than 5 hours for every hour. But even if you double your time, for every hour you spend in pre-construction meetings and handing that off and answering questions and thinking through the process, you're going to save so much time and money because so many questions are going to be answered. The client's going to have a better experience because of it. Little things on the project of where we're going to pee and where we're putting our materials and where the trucks are going to be parked. All of those things get worked out. And the lead, you think about this is something that not as a skilled craftsman, but it just makes all the sense in the world to me. Skilled craftspeople, lead carpenters, key people on these projects, they're so visual, they're so hands-on. They can imagine how to go from this pile of wood to creating this beautiful craftsmanship in this work. And what I've heard time and time again, and again, it makes perfect sense to me, that if you give that lead carpenter, if you give that person extra time to be thinking about the project and to have already seen it, their mind is going to be thinking about it. Their mind is going to be already putting it together, thinking through the steps involved. Give them that opportunity to be planning that project in their mind, to be thinking through the steps involved. Give them time to do that. Don't let that happen the day we start the project. We're already starting on our heels, and we've wasted money even at that point. I'm convinced. Okay. Any training for the team that we need to consider? Do you need to find more trade partners? Do you need to find more field labor? Maybe that's your SMART goal. Put focused effort on one of those areas. All right, cool. Next one up, cash flow / financials. Some thought starters here. How can you improve your cash flow? Are you doing, maybe that's a change you need to make to your payment schedule. If you are doing the end of phases, stop. Start doing the start of phases. End of phases can linger. Well, I'd give you my next payment, but it says end of drywall phase, and you guys still need to do a little patching over there. All of a sudden, 2 weeks later, we finally get our next payment, the start of phases. I think it's also very interesting. I'm seeing more and more remodelers just kind of put up a schedule that says every 2 weeks, X amount is the payment. And it's just like clockwork. The client knows that, okay, it's the next Friday, and I owe them a payment. So consider looking at your payment schedule on how you can improve your cash flow. Are you watching your profit and loss statement? Are you doing your job costing at the end of every project? Here we are 5 months in. You should be able to go in and look at your profit and loss statement and kind of see where things are shaking out. How's your percentage of cost of goods sold compared to what you would expect it to be? How's your gross profit compared to what you'd expect it to be? Out of the 14 jobs that you've completed this year, have you done a job cost report on each of them? If not, maybe you go back in time a little bit, but more so, how are you going to make sure you get a job cost report all set and locked in for these projects that are coming up? All right, so this area of cash flow / financials, think about that. There may be an action step in there. And let me pause again. We're going around the horn: marketing, sales process, production, cash flow, etc., estimating, design. And there's areas, there's something probably in each of these areas that you could sink your teeth into and work on. It's part of the fun of the never-ending game of business. is that we always have things to work on and improve. Again, I'll go back to what I said at the start. Try to just identify one or two. What are the biggest priority items, and create a SMART goal around it. Give yourself a little bit of a deadline. Okay. Jim says, is substantial completion of a phase too vague? No, I mean, substantial completion is a phrase that you will find on most remodelers and contractors' contracts. If it just says substantial completion, yes, it's too vague. If it says substantial completion, see detail in contract. Substantial completion is when you are able to, utilize and use your space for its intended purposes. It also means that even if we have some trim, or if we're waiting on some handles, or we're waiting on some door fronts, that the project is still considered substantially complete. So make sure it's got a little bit of meat to it, so that we know and they know, and they can read in real English what that means, so that we can point to it and say, look, we're at substantial completion. Would you guys agree? And you can collect that check. Okay, cool. A couple other rapid fires here. HR/your team. Are you doing regular one-on-ones with your team? Do they feel challenged and know how to, quote unquote, win in their position? Okay, so when it gets to HR and your team, it's never been more vital and important to make sure that we're taking great care of our team members. There's a lot of people that would love to recruit away your best employees. When was the last time you sat down one-on-one? When was the last time you just asked how your employees are doing? If there's anything you can do for them. Do they have a clear path, or do they see how they can continue to grow and improve with you? Is there any training that you could provide for them? A couple other thought starters on this topic. Any new employee benefits you want to add? Anything new? If you've been thinking about that simple IRA, is it now time to execute that? If you've been thinking about fill in the blank, is it now the time to execute that? We need to continue to make sure that we have a competitive and generous package for our employees. It is an employees market out there. And just as important as it is to always be recruiting, I would say even more important is to make sure that we are putting some effort towards retaining our existing key team members. Part of that is just making time for them, taking them out for breakfast, saying, hey, Friday afternoon, why don't we just have a meeting to hear how things are going? Why don't we just do, if it's been a while since you've done a review, let's do a review and sit down and review that together. Make sure you're making time for that. And then the last one on the old around the horn is work/life balance and just your overall health. Some thought starters on that. How's your health? It's a good question. Doesn't take much to start to decide to eat healthier. You could eat a salad today for lunch instead of that burger. It's kind of a pain in the butt to start working out again, to dust those weights off, to do whatnot. But you can start. Let's get it going. Let's do it. How's your health? Look at that seriously. And bigger picture on that, people say it all the time of like, you're either going to put in the time now or you're going to put in the time later, right? So just a reminder, how's your health? Start to, if it's going in a bad direction, start one thing today to kind of move it in a better direction. Sometimes I like to look at it of going, did I win the day when it comes to my health today, or did I lose it? Well, if I didn't move around, if I sat at my desk all day, if I didn't do any kind of working out and I ate like crap, that's a big fat L. But if I moved a little bit, if I did a little bit of sit-ups, I ate healthy for breakfast, lunch, I got a little carried away at dinner and I had that second ice cream or something, then maybe it was a draw today. And there's other days we're just flat out lost. If you're losing every day when it comes to your health, we're going to be overweight and not healthy, right? So break it down a little bit, and just one good decision can lead to another good decision, and all of a sudden we can start shifting the tide. How's your work-life balance? Is it time to go into your calendar in June and July and start carving out some Fridays off? Taking some 3-day weekends. Don't say I'm thinking about doing it. Go in there and actually put it in there. Take a Wednesday afternoon off. Schedule something for your spouse. Schedule something for one of your kids. Do something special. You work too hard. You got too much stress to not make sure you're taking the time. And if you put it in your calendar for others to see, for you to see, you're going to make it happen. So make sure you do that. Have you scheduled vacations, time off? Is the business running you, or are you running the business? Think hard about that. And if that's the case, what's going to change? What can you do that's different? Okay. All right. So there we have it. Body weight calisthenics, no excuses, get after it. Yeah, that is true, Jim. Right? Well, I don't have a good I don't have a good workout set of equipment. Okay. I mean, use your body weight, right? It's very easy. I can't. Jim, I'm way out of weight. I can't even do any push-ups. Well, guess what? You can lean against the counter and like do like halfway push-ups. Guess what? If you start doing that, and then the next day you're going to feel better, and you're going to feel better. So, like you said, Jim, no excuses. Get after it. Body weight calisthenics. Is that how you spell calisthenics? Did you have to look that up, or did it type in there perfectly? All right, my friends, that was the Remodelers on the Rise show today. It was called Around the Horn. We went around to marketing, to sales process, to estimating design, to production, to cash flow, to HR, to work-life balance. And I shared some thought starters in each category. And my biggest goal for you would be to grab one, maybe two of those and turn them into some action steps, some SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, and make some progress. All right, that's all I got to say for today. Catch you all again soon. Later.